Okay. Hope I was just still in the frame there. Okay, so I'm gonna call that good. Even though it's not that good. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, I'm trying to duplicate a certain kind of point, and I think that's pretty close. Now the flaking looks okay on that side, I guess, and then it kind of got steppy on that side. Edges are sharp. I do need to trim a little bit more because I still see some ground areas. Let's see. And I did not narrate through this one because every time I try, I mess up. Well, today anyway, this is my fourth attempt. I just want these edges to feel sharp, so. Just picking at it. The aluminum works a little bit better on this than the steel. The steel removes a lot. That's why it was also hard for me to notch with the steel. Well, there I go, removing a lot with the aluminum now. And getting step fractures too. Okay, I'll stop messing with it. Yeah, okay. Alright, so that's about as good as I can get it. Here's my other ones. This one I did on video. And these are the ones I've done over the past couple of days. Today and yesterday. A couple of fractures. I had 2 brokes. I made this one earlier today and those last night. I have another one like this too. Anyway, it's easy to break the tips off. Okay, so these are all out of the same type of stone. Here's my last one. So these 3 are the closest to the type of point that I want to make, or I was trying to duplicate. I don't know. Sometimes I like the camera on the phone, and sometimes I don't. It just looks fuzzy to me in the focus. Okay, so anyway, that's that. Now, I got a lot of questions regarding this Rhyolite, and this is not a a good kind of rhyolite. This is about average. I've had worse and I've tried better. The good type that I tried was like a green color, a deep green. This is kind of greenish gray, but it was deeper green than this, and it was not bad at all. And I've had a lot worse. This is about the mid-grade. And I've had some people ask me, where do you find the quote-unquote nice type of rhyolite like you're doing in the video? And this is not really nice. I wish it was, but this is difficult to nap. As you can see, I couldn't narrate through this because it would just mess me up. And there's a lot of interest in where do I find rhyolite and what tools to use and all that. There seems to be a lot of interest in this material for some reason. A lot of beginners are trying this. I don't really recommend this for beginners, but it does work. A lot of people have learned on it, but I don't recommend it. And I've also had comments about people using wood to nap rhyolite, and I've tried that. I tried wood in the beginning, and I can get it to work on large bifaces, but when you get down to this size of spall and smaller, I find it very difficult to use wood on rhyolite. If you make a large blade or something like that, yeah, that's fine. You can shape it with wood, and wood peels off really thin flakes. But you need to, prepare the edges very well. And wood grabs, so you've got to hold your workpiece extremely rigid, because it'll just pull a lot. The wood grabs, but it stays in contact longer than let's say a hard hammerstone or a steel hammer. So you're going to get longer flakes. They're going to be flatter, and a lot of people use wood. So it can be used. I don't like to use it. Other guys have mentioned. I've gotten lots of emails about this. You can use copper boppers. Why don't I use copper boppers? I tend to blow through my copper boppers fast. I wear them out really fast, and the ones that are solid, they last almost forever. But they're too heavy for me. It messes up my wrist when I use the solid copper in the 1-inch diameter or so. So that's why I don't use copper boppers. One, I wear them out too quick if they're just the cap style, and two, it messes up my wrist if it's a solid copper. So I prefer hammerstone, and these are cheap or free. I can go to the landscape supply place and look through the stones and pick up samples, quote-unquote samples of this stuff, and can't get any cheaper than free. So I prefer hammerstone over boppers. There seems to be like a subculture, a rhyolite subculture, because of all the interest that I've had, not necessarily in the comments, but I've gotten a lot of emails about this stuff. So I'll do some more videos. I see that I need to do some videos using natural materials and rhyolite. I don't often do natural materials on really, really tough stone because it eats through my tools. Now this fall I think I'm going to get a bunch more antler and bone. So what I'm going to do is I'll make some videos with natural materials with bone and antler on this rhyolite. I still have some good pieces left. See if I can make some points, and then I'll get a resupply this fall, because I know I'm going to go through all my tools and mess them up for this stuff, and probably a couple more rock challenges with really hard material. Okay, so I think that's it for that. I was using a artificial abrader to abrade the rhyolite. Now I was kind of cheating a little bit because I was actually grinding in bevels, not just smoothing over weak spots, but actually grinding in bevels, because it grinds easily. Even though Rhyolite is extremely hard, it does grind easily with an artificial abrader. It seems to grind down very easily. So I took advantage of that and actually shaped the platforms with the abrader. Not just by chipping like that, but actually grinding a bevel. See if I can show you. But I think you know what I mean. You can see how that smooths out the surface, and it kind of helps with the bevel so that you have a good solid platform to strike on. So I was doing that, and it seemed to work well. Now on average I was hitting and using pressure with about twice as much force as normal, and that's pretty typical of Rhyolite. Twice as much force as you normally would use. So I don't know if you could tell if it was louder or not, or on the hits, whether it was apparent that I was using a lot more force. But one of the questions I get a lot is people try the method with the horizontal punch, and they can't get any flakes to travel, or even any flakes to start. And I think it's because they're not striking it hard enough. I mean, you have to really strike hard. I'm used to it by now, so I know what will release. And it may seem like I'm not hitting it very hard, but I'm hitting it extremely hard. And you know, I've had to cut this back a couple times already. This month or last month, it used to be that, you know, a couple inches longer. And every time I go through 3 or 4 Rhyolite points, I had to cut an inch off because it won't fit. It doesn't fit tightly anymore. The impacts loosen up the bit, and when you have a loose bit, the energy is dissipated, or it doesn't have as much energy as a tight bit, and you don't get longer flakes. They tend to stall out in step if the bit is loose. And this one here already needs to be refitted. You know, I need to cut it back and then drill a hole deeper and then put it back in firmly so it doesn't rock. It doesn't move around at all. You can see a slight gap around it. Even a slight gap will make a big difference, believe it or not. But this one is exhausted. I have another piece. I'm going to make another flaker here, brand new. So that should help. Okay. So that's it. I'm just going to take one more look at the points. These would be good for hunting. I mean, if you're into Rhyolite, it's extremely durable. I can't think of a more durable hunting point. But as far as fancy flaking patterns and all that, it's very difficult to get a nice flake pattern on Rhyolite, so you may want to think twice about that. But it is very sharp. I mean, it is extremely sharp. The edges last a while. You don't need to mess with it to resharpen it every time. Every time you cut something or shoot something, you don't have to keep resharpening as much as a softer material, or like obsidian that gets dull right away. Okay, that's it.